Another tradition of the college's commencement ceremony is to hear from a student. This year's student speaker is RyanMoody. Having earned her U of M bachelor's degree in chemical engineering in 2014, Ryan is graduating with a master's degree in energy systems engineering. Making the most of the breadth of opportunity at Michigan, she also has done a number of things that I'm going to recount. She's been a member of the Engineering Global Leadership Honors Program and the Tauber Institute for Global Operations, which is a joint program with the Ross School of Business. She's tutored high schoolers through the National Society of Black Engineers. She joined the Michigan Mock Trial Team and also served as managing editor of the Michigan Daily. And that's just a start. After backpacking through South America this coming summer, Ryan will join Shell as a subsea process engineer. Ryan, will you please come forward?
Class of 2016, today, on one of the happiest days of our lives, with friends and family who have traveled from near and far, and after all the hard work and effort we've put in, I want to talk to you about failure. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say, I knew I could put in a bunch of cliche I remember whens. You know, shared experiences that speakers come up and say that are so generic that basically everyone's had them. I remember when we were all first years. I remember when we all took Engineering 101. I remember when we all got too little sleep. You get the idea. But instead, I wanted to be a little more real and tell you a story about myself that I think many of you might relate to. When I took my first engineering exam here, I failed it. And no, I'm not talking about the kind of pseudo-failure where you realize you're not the kind of academic standout that you used to be in high school. I failed it. Like I was going through that exam and I saw -3 here, -5 there, and I flipped over to the second page and just saw the word no. And honestly, it did not feel good. It wasn't the type of experience that I could immediately bounce back from and use as a learning moment. For me, failure was difficult, and it was painful, and it was messy. For a while, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I'm sure a lot of us in here have felt that feeling at least once throughout our time at Michigan. Maybe you failed an assignment, you forgot to turn it in, didn't remember to do it, or it just didn't go well. Maybe you've applied for something at Michigan and you didn't get it, an internship, a research spot, a leadership position, or a job. Maybe you're like me and you failed a few exams. Even though it hurt in the moment, and maybe even made you question whether you belonged here at all, I think failure was a necessary part of getting us to where we are today. Even though we often look at failure as being negative, it's an essential part of becoming our best selves. I wanted to take the time to remind us all of failure because I truly believe that overcoming past failures, or deviations from ideal conditions, as we've been taught to call them, is what makes our present victories even sweeter. Without having failed, we wouldn't know what we are truly capable of. Now, you might disagree with me, but I think we had to have our 5-7 football season last year to drive us to our 10-3 win this season. We, as a university community, had to have some pretty big gaps in our diversity and inclusion to prompt a campus-wide conversation on how to be better. And I had to fail my first, and then second, chemical engineering exams to encourage me to ultimately earn my graduate degree. Though I would never wish failure on anyone, I think that, at least on our own, it's often difficult to get it right the first time. Not doing as well as we initially wanted catches our attention, and it pushes us. It gives us what we need to reach the next success. And without it, we wouldn't know how great it would feel to be sitting here today. Unfortunately, challenges aren't solely limited to our academic experiences. We're bound to face a lot more once we leave our home here on North Campus. And while it's important, and granted, befitting to celebrate our current achievements, I think it's equally important to focus on what we're going to do next. There are a lot of ways that our society has failed us, and there is no shortage of opportunities for us to help. We have entire cities that have been exposed to lead poisoning. We have regressive state laws that deny people civil rights because of what gender we think they should be. We have kids who are being killed by those who took an oath to serve and protect just because they look like me, and many more. As the leaders and the best, these are the exact types of issues that deserve our attention. Though on the surface, these concerns may not seem like engineering ones, they need the brilliant minds of creative people like us to solve them. Now, I don't know what you're most passionate about, where you want to go, or what big questions you want to answer. And maybe you don't yet either. But what I do know is that our Michigan difference doesn't need to be limited by the disciplines on our degrees. Through countless hours in the dude, numerous lab reports, and yes, even a little failure, we've become well equipped to tackle the challenges of the world, whatever we decide that looks like. As Michigan engineers, we don't shy away from the difficult, or the painful, or the messy. We take a cautious breath, a first step, and probably do a complicated, obscure derivation that we'll likely never use again. But in all seriousness, whether we helped create the problem or we found ourselves in the middle of it, we have a responsibility to help find a solution. And I can't wait to see what that looks like. Congratulations, class of 2016, and go Blue.